As you can tell, it's been a minute since we posted. That's because we've got a big announcement to make. We moved. Just by pure coincidence, after making these videos on, should I build or renovate, how to sell your home, how to design your home, all the steps, well, we get to live that out for you. In this next series of videos, we're going to be describing our process of purchasing a piece of property, going through the design of our home, and then building our home. My name is Dallas Palmer. Welcome to Build Mod Media. So in this episode, we're going to talk about some steps required up front, the due diligence part of building a home. Step number one is locating a piece of property. As soon as we sold our house down the road from us here, we found a piece of property a little bit smaller than our last property, but we wanted it to be big enough to fit just about any floor plan. So we bought an acre of land out here. That brings us to step number two, which is selecting a floor plan. Now, unless you're absolutely married to this perfect dream home that you've got to build, I would suggest selecting your land first and then selecting your floor plan, because if you do it conversely, such as we had a floor plan in mind that we really loved, but even on an acre, it was a big sprawling mid-modern ranch, it would have taken us right to the parameters of what we could build on, and maybe even had been a little bit bigger than our setbacks on this property. So bear in mind, property makes a difference of what you can build. So step number three, and this is the step that we're currently in right now. We had a designer, a draftsperson, and an architect that are giving us prices to redraw our home. And you say, well, why did you do that? Well, we bought a house plan that was online. I purchased the whole set, including the AutoCAD drawings, which I described what those are in a previous episode, and we have shipped them off to him and said, okay, we want to make these modifications because the house plan that we picked wasn't perfect, but it was close. Also, you have to bear in mind that each municipality that you build in may have different codes that they follow. They're all going to be very similar, but here in Colorado, we have to pay attention to different elevations, and the elevation dictates how much snow load you can put on a roof. Keep in mind, snow has weight, and so at this elevation, for example, we have to have the house engineered to carry a live load of 95 pounds per square foot on the roof. So we have to have it redrawn. We will go through in the next episode what that looks like as far as what an architect is going to provide and what the draftsperson is going to provide and what the difference in cost is. One thing to keep in mind is we had to actually have a survey performed on this piece of property. Most of the time when you buy a piece of property, the survey has already been completed. On this particular piece of property, they had some corners staked, but the realtor let us know that they weren't accurate. So I hired a surveyor to come out and tell us where the building corners are. That tells you where the setbacks will be, and that tells you inside of those setbacks where you can build. So what does a surveyor do exactly? Well, when they have a subdivision like this, they have this big raw piece of land with property corners that are acres and acres and acres apart. And they divide it up into building lots and they put streets in it. And that is what you call a plat map. That is recorded with the county. And so the surveyor will pull up that record, and he's given certain coordinates that he can locate by GPS. And that gets you this stake right here, which our surveyor put this fence post in to tell us that this is our property corner. And you can see that the original survey said property corner, lot 160. That's what a surveyor does for us. And then beyond that, they take a look at the grade and they shoot it at different locations so they can get the elevations, and that creates the contours or the topographical map. Also, as you can tell with this piece of property here, it's not exactly flat. So I had the surveyor perform what's called a topographical survey, which on the drawing it shows all the contours because we're going to take advantage of some of the grades out here to build a garden level house on one side of the house while the other side of the house sits at grade level. So we'll be going through that, and just as kind of a side thing here, we got a hill behind us, and what you can't see is we've actually got neighbors over the hill, and we'd like to kind of preserve that hill for some privacy. So having a topographical map is really going to help us to determine where to set the house so that we can take advantage of all the land features we have around us. Regardless, during the process, you do need to hire a surveyor, not only to locate the property corners, but they can actually give you the building corners before you start excavation, so you land the house perfectly inside of your building property. Now, the city is going to require not only the survey, but a topographical map, because a lot of cities have requirements for grading and erosion control. And that's when you see them put out those little fence barriers that hold the silt and sand from washing out into a street, and it helps the water quality in your subdivision. So you're gonna have to hire a surveyor regardless. So in the next episode, as I said, we'll discuss architect versus draftsperson. I appreciate you guys tagging along with us. Hope you enjoy this journey. Thank you for watching.